This kind of came about, so CLEER is a nonprofit organization. We're based in Carbondale. We work a lot like a fee-for-service consulting firm, and so we have various contracts to provide sustainability and environmental services for a variety of different entities, locally, regionally, and statewide as well. So we're, as I said, a 501c3 nonprofit. And we have kind of these three main pillars that we work under: the built environment, clean transportation, and renewable energy. So Heidi and I lead up our built environment team at CLEER, and we're here to kind of progress the energy efficiency in the built environments, but more specifically in commercial buildings, and really focusing on the lodging industry. So it can get a little bit confusing of who Garfield Clean Energy is and who CLEER is. So Garfield Clean Energy, also known as GCE, is a collaborative group of all of the municipalities in Garfield County, the county government itself. Then we also have Colorado Mountain College, the Roaring Fork Transportation Authority, and our two affiliate members are the Library District and Holy Cross Energy. So it's kind of a collaborative effort that has contracted with CLEER to run programs for GCE. So we're separate entities, but CLEER manages all of the programming for GCE. So sometimes it can be a little bit confusing of who's doing what, and for the most part, CLEER's just managing all of that for GCE. Some of the services that we offer are free energy coaching for residents and businesses. So anybody in the county, because all of the towns and municipalities under it is a partner of GCE, we offer free energy coaching across the board. So whether you're a business or a resident, you can call us up, you can email us, and we will help you find the resources or give you advice or whatever it is that you're looking for. We also do free walkthroughs for commercial buildings. So Heidi is our building specialist. She'll come and do it's not like a full energy assessment, but she will walk through with your facility managers, look at all of the different things that are using energy, ways that the building is losing energy, and provide advice and resources to make improvements. We also connect people with resources, whether it's rebates, depending on your utility, whether it is contractors, whatever it is, we're here to help residents and businesses be more energy efficient in their buildings. And then, like I said before, CLEER manages the programs for GCE, and GCE is this really great umbrella organization that allows us to access everyone and provide services for everyone in the county. And at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Heidi. She's going to talk a lot more about what we're doing and then some of the rebates and other things that are available.
Thanks. As I said at the very beginning when I introduced myself, we're aware of how much energy the hospitality industry needs to do its thing. And between all of the laundry, all of the individual comfort desires of all the people in your rooms, in addition to that, there's just simply the age of a lot of the buildings. There are some complexities in your buildings that other building managers just don't have to deal with. Melissa may correct me on some of these statistics that I put out there, but my understanding is that about 60% of the energy use in a smaller hotel at least happens in the rooms. And so a lot of those opportunities for energy savings are in the rooms. The most common HVAC equipment, especially in the smaller, older hotels, I'm realizing now that I should have gotten a picture of PTACs. But PTACs are some of the worst heating and cooling equipment you could potentially be using in terms of energy. And it is the most common in some of the smaller and older hotels and motels in our areas. Not only are they terribly inefficient and expensive sources of heat, they are also a big hole in the wall with a chunk of metal stuck in it. They're an air sealing disaster, and they're just a great big thermal bridge. So those are some of the challenges. Often these buildings don't have these central controls, so that removes some of our biggest opportunities to tweak your controls and your HVAC. If you don't have central controls,
That's the remodel.
This building is being remodeled right now, so that makes it harder.
First-hand knowledge.
Yeah. You know, the large upfront costs for a lot, I'm looking at the building on the left here. A lot of the smaller hotels, which aren't so much represented in this room today, they don't have a lot of capital for the upfront costs. Even though it's going to save them money in the long run, you still have to have the money to pay for that HVAC upgrade. So, and a lot of times the envelope is difficult to address. So, as Zuleika mentioned, Garfield Clean Energy, paid for by all of the jurisdictions and the special districts in the county, pay for my time to try to help you guys lower your energy costs. And in the result of that, we are lowering the energy usage in Garfield County. I can take my time to research technology, look for funding, you know, various different things. I can interface with vendors of equipment to potentially get bulk pricing, which, you know, it has actually worked in the past. And share, you know, when I learn about new technology, you guys are doing your thing. This is my job to sit around and look this stuff up. So utilize me, I'm a free service. So we mentioned the fact that the energy gets, you know, largely used in the rooms. Some opportunities for buildings like yours would be additional in-room controls, whether that's HVAC or lighting. Commercial laundry, replacement upgrades. We are working with Black Hills Gas to also try to bring some rebates to help you guys further save money in your commercial laundries. If we can work together to try to convince the powers that be that they should rebate. It's an alteration to existing laundry equipment that can make it use less gas that has been found to be cost effective. So we're working on that, and if it happens, we have everyone's contact information now, and we would definitely share that. Obviously, water heating is a big part of all of that, and Black Hills Energy and your various electric utilities do have rebates to help you buy or upgrade your water heating equipment. And actually commercial kitchen equipment, there can be some good opportunities for folks that have large kitchens, and there is funding to help you with that too. I wrote here that water savings projects equals gas savings. It's not necessarily true for everything that I've written here, but geeks like me have started to use this phrase called watergy, and it is all of the energy that is involved in the processing and delivering of our domestic water, our clean water. And in addition to that, on the user end, a lot of that water is hot, and you've paid for the heating. So anything that reduces your electric usage or your water usage is either going to reduce your utility costs or the impact to the community by the water treatment plant. So aerators on faucets look like such a small thing, but they can be really impactful to your energy usage. They are one of the things that Black Hills Energy, and some of you may have Excel for gas, but I'm thinking most folks here at Black Hills for their gas service. Black Hills Energy will come through and walk through every room in your hotel and offer you free shower heads and faucet aerators, and the savings from that are actually really surprising. Their engineering team has done savings calcs to show you how much you would save from those in-room water conservation measures. And then outdoors, there are things like irrigation controls, irrigation system upgrades, turf replacement, and then just new appliances. Because we do have such a mix of utilities here, this is just kind of a quick glance, but if anybody here, when you do get ready to pursue some energy upgrades, contact us, and we will look for every possible avenue to help you pay for it. In a minute here, I conveniently just did a business walkthrough that we talked about earlier with Pete just a couple days ago, and we'll get a chance to have him talk about some of the stuff that he's implemented, and I can mention, you know, the avenues I'm looking for funding for him. But all of your utilities, based on, depending on what system you're looking to upgrade, is it electrical savings or gas savings, we would go to that appropriate utility and look for funding for you. There are also some tax credits and some grant opportunities even for private businesses. Glenwood Springs Electric they have a very generous commercial rebate program in conjunction with, you'll see references, and you did on the last screen too. I mentioned MEAN down here. MEAN is the power wholesale provider where Glenwood Springs Electric gets their energy, and there are some rebates through them as well. But these rebates through Glenwood Springs and through most of these utilities apply per meter, per year, which means that for a staged project, you can apply every year. And if you have multiple meters, we can apply, and generally this rebate, for most of these, that rebate cap, whatever it is for whatever you're applying for, applies per meter. Often a facility might just have one gas meter, but you might have multiple electric meters. Good news is Black Hills Energy is pretty nimble and they can be flexible in how they offer custom rebates. So if you only have one gas meter, sometimes that can work out. Black Hills Energy, because commercial clients do use more gas than residential clients, they are more generous on their commercial rebates. As I just said, they can be somewhat flexible. What's really cool about them, I think, for you guys, is the stuff that you can get for free from them. I mentioned water savings stuff for inside, faucet aerators, shower heads. They give all of that out for free. Pipe insulation, which is the most cost-effective insulation measure you can install in your building. And if you have hot copper or if you have a hot mechanical room, please call me. The energy savings there are really surprising. What's happening in a hot mechanical room is you're paying for that heat, and you're not paying to heat the mechanical room. So that is heat that is not making it to wherever you intended it to go. Whether that's a shower or a heater in a guest room, the heat that you feel in your mechanical room, you paid for, but it did not make it to its end user. So that's one of the things that Pete and I talked about largely, is a lot of miles and miles of uninsulated copper, which is really common in, I would guess, most of your buildings. And Black Hills Energy is a great source for that. Xcel Energy, it's not as easy to navigate, but there are some rebates available. Where they do come through is new construction. I think you guys, not in Xcel, sorry. I think you guys have a construction project planned, if I'm not mistaken. And we'd love to help you guys with that new construction project. If anybody does have a construction project that's building or adding an Xcel Energy, that is when they can be really generous with their rebates and their services. But any of the equipment, lighting controls are a great savings opportunity, and those are very easy rebates to get from Xcel Energy. The lighting themselves and the controls, and we have great contractors right here locally who work with Xcel well to utilize those rebates, and those are pretty cost-effective measures. I don't think we have anybody here in Holy Cross territory, but Holy Cross also has a really great rebate program, and they have a custom offering and can be somewhat flexible. Again, they have a good program for all electric reconstruction. I don't think you'd be...
I'm in Holy Cross.
Oh, you are, that's right. Yes, and so I did contact Holy Cross. We talked about EV chargers. One of the things I wanted to ask, well, I'm going to ask you to talk about a little bit is your lighting controls. So they rebate lighting controls, lighting equipment, anything that saves energy. They have a great rebate for retro commissioning, which is something I'm always promoting. But for Holy Cross, it has to be an electrically heated building. I'm going to make a plea to them potentially to offer a retro commissioning, potentially rebate for a building that is gas heated, but forced air. And because of the poor controls in their building, they're using a lot of excess electricity because of the way the forced air system is operating. Even though the heating source is gas, all those fan coils and boxes and everything. Like we just heard right here, anything that is loud is inefficient. Noise in an HVAC system is loss of your dollars. The quieter your HVAC system is, the fewer dollars it is just burning up. So that's a case for electrical savings in gas-heated buildings. Other incentives, there are some federal tax credits. They can be somewhat complex to pursue, but we can help you, support you in those efforts if there's anybody here that does choose to pursue those. They're probably going to be more worth it for big projects, like what you guys are doing here. We could look into that potentially to see if we could help you and see if it would help. And I think some of the technology you guys are actually installing might be eligible. So we should talk about that. Easier tax credits are solar, pretty easy to pursue if anybody's installing solar. And while the utilities pretty much don't rebate solar at this point, that tax credit is a minimum of 30% of your hard costs if you do installing solar. And there are grants sometimes for solar, even for private businesses. So yeah, high impact energy savings. We mentioned controls for HVAC and lighting. if your building has central controls, has a full BAS system, retro commissioning and looking at all of those controls can be extremely impactful. I always say that it's one of the best ways to save energy without buying anything or installing anything is by reviewing simply the controls, even for buildings that don't have central controls. Looking at how the controls are set within the rooms can save a lot of energy. In upgrading the equipment itself in room heating and cooling, we're seeing some really exciting new equipment in heat pump, cold climate heat pump, which is essential to use because you can buy a heat pump PTAC around here that is not going to save you much energy at all. And your contractor and potentially a mechanical engineer will tell you that it is a heat pump. It is not really a heat pump in our climate. The most common PTAC replacement around here is a Nana unit that switches out of heat pump mode at like 37 degrees. It's not very helpful. But there are 2 cold climate heat pump PTAC replacements. There's a large project going in just west of here. What used to be the roadway in is now called Iron Mountain Place. And they just replaced 42 PTACs with cold climate heat pumps. So every room in there. And it's something that Diego and I and people like us spend a lot of time talking about. And there are rebates available for some of the equipment. There is also some window-based equipment that is harder for folks to get their head around, but easier to install and extremely efficient and an easy way to add super high performance in-room heating and cooling. The Hotel Colorado, which I hoped we were going to see those guys here today, but you know, maybe they'll show. They have window air conditioners, and I've been looking for ways to help them either upgrade those or get rid of them. And some of these new window-based heat pumps could be a fit for projects like that. So yeah. Now, in addition to saving you guys money, a lot of times it improves the guest experience. I am a person who hates the noise from the blower on the PTACs in most hotel rooms. And I will end up sleeping with earplugs on just so I don't have to listen to those things roar. This is a Fujitsu replacement for a PTAC. It is a split unit, which is a little, again, hard to get your head around how is this a replacement for a PTAC. But the outdoor unit you can see is a similar size and shape to a normal PTAC. The lower unit, the top unit is like a typical Mitsubishi mini split indoor unit that you would have seen in a restaurant, maybe somewhere, maybe somebody has one in their home. Super high efficiency, cold climate heat pump. A little bit of a different replacement, but can replace the PTAC or other inefficient in-room heating systems. So, I'm trying to make it quick.
So who we are, we were originally created here in the Bell Valley about 15 years ago. I'm one of the owners and principals. There's a group of about 15 of us nationally. We are continuing to grow. We are made up of PE licensed engineers, certified energy managers, certified energy auditors, lighting designers. We have a couple architects on our team, and then certified women-owned business for your Marriotts. A lot of times they want to see that certification, especially when we get larger contracts. Like I said, we are in the valley. I always love having properties in the valley, but I'm on the road 60 to 70% of the time, so we do properties throughout the U.S. Who our clients are, the ones that you're going to know the most, East West. We do all their portfolio. I think they have 38 properties, every one of them. We work with on a different scale. That could be our efficiency program, our benchmarking, we do lighting design, pretty much every aspect of their portfolio we hit. We also do in their new construction buildings. Aspen Ski Co, we also work with them, Vail Resorts, and then just other independent properties throughout, you know, the mountains. We do larger properties also with Sage and BRE, but I'm not even going to talk about them. They're more on a national level. So expertise, we deliver impact. We have a dedicated staff. We have 3 utility managers who help with benchmarking. I'm hiring 2 more. So if you guys know anybody, I would like to hire 2 more by the end of the year to have a dedicated staff of 5 people with 15 to 20 years of experience in benchmarking. We have a lot of properties we're helping with benchmarking. It is a lot of work. So if you're just sitting there going, I'm not sure what to do, please let us support you. We've transformed specifically for energy efficiency over 600 buildings in the last 15 years. And really, similar to Heidi, we love supporting inside of new efficiency regulations and just understanding the new technology. So I'm going to get into, there's two parts of this presentation. The first is what is required by the state of Colorado. Again, this is only for properties that are 50,000 square feet or more. If you're not, you could snooze this part of the presentation. But the first part is this is a requirement, and then the second part is how we can support you to hit all these performance goals. So, Building Performance Colorado, BPC, Regulation 28, this is a hot topic right now. There are two requirements, so just so you're aware, I am only going to speak on the state. I've done different presentations for Denver, there's Fort Collins, there's Aspen. Different cities have different regulations. I'm just speaking on the state. If you're part of, say you're, well, I don't think any of you guys are here, but we have a lot of properties who are Denver and also Colorado. When we support them, we're going to support them inside of both. So below are two requirements. First one is benchmarking. So this is the annual benchmarking reporting, Energy Star portfolio. The other one, the other requirement is performance. Meeting your EUI targets, your energy use intensity targets. First one on the annual Energy Star benchmarking reporting, I see a lot of our clients do this incorrect. Actually, all our clients do this incorrectly. This is why we take on a lot of the portfolios. A lot of people go in and go, okay, I understand Energy Star, I just need to check the list of hotels. And again, I don't know what properties you guys have. We usually work with like some of the larger ones like Arabelle or Perk Hyatt or Westin, where you can't just check with Mark. Hey, how do we break it down? What's the square footage? And a lot of them don't have the square footage, so we're taking their architectural plans and doing all the measurements. We need to break it down by restaurants, meeting spaces. We need to break it down by, again, parking spaces, snow melt. So this piece, setting it up in Energy Star is not just simply, I open up Energy Star, do a checklist. That could be 15 hours. Yeah.
Can you give a 2-second description of portfolio manager? Just to let folks know that this is a platform. This is a platform that is available to anyone. But this is the platform that you guys would use to use your benchmarking. Yes. When we make references to Energy Star Portfolio Manager, it is an online. It's a DOE platform, isn't it? I believe it's a DOE tool.
Yeah.
That where you use to establish your baseline. So just that reference, I wanted to make sure folks understood what that is.
Yeah, and I just want people to, perfect. And then and again, I don't know what you guys have. It could be simple properties to very, like you take on a lot of complex properties, so I see the mistake all the time that people like, I have a hotel, and they click the hotel and their EUI is completely off.
Sorry, just touch the pad and it'll back up. It should just.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Energy savings.
So, next is, so just another thing with the energy benchmarking. This is the other thing, going back to maybe your property, the charter, the charter, they have over 552 units. So again, it's not just, hey, I'm just doing my common space meters. We're collecting every single one of those unit meters from 21 until present, and then collecting retail space. Like, it's every meter that's on your property. They don't care, especially for you guys, that that's retail. That's in your building. And you would be a campus. You wouldn't even be inside of hospitality. Your EUI is different and more complex. So again, you really need somebody to set it up correctly, because I call it all about the wiggle room. It's a game. So EUI means energy use intensity. What does this all mean? How much energy we're using per square footage. So the reason people bring us on is, I call it a game, because every EUI point you can gain, that could save your building 20 to 30,000 of implementation to try to hit their benchmark. And there's a lot you can do. So again, that's just, I'm not going to get into that. That's like, could be a whole hour conversation in itself. But snow melt, any meters that you have maybe away from the building, we can, again, every Tuesday we have our utility managers who sit on a 2 to 3 hour phone call just getting their questions answered.
If hotels are supposed to, benchmarking is a 2021 baseline.
Yep.
That was still during COVID when occupancy was really low, and so energy usage was a lot lower. How are you
doesn't matter.
managing that?
Ooh, that's tough.
They don't care, 2021 baseline,
So, okay,
don't care. Now, our active management program, agreed,
yeah,
but we're not going into the active management program.
okay.
It's very strict, great question. So, what he is speaking to, and again, I might get, if I get too technical, please ask questions. So again, what he's speaking to is baseline. So this is, and I was about to go into it in the next slide, but basically, for the state of Colorado, you have your 2021 baseline. They don't care about occupancy. They don't care, because we have buildings right now who are like, hey, I just added 16 air handler units. They don't care. That's a mark on you. Does that make sense? They're like, this is your 2021, you need to save money and energy compared to 2021. If you do our efficiency program, our active management program, yes, there's special adjustments to that. So we have an efficiency program, and yes, we do special adjustments because of, like you're saying, there's occupancy, there's, again, it gets very complex. But that's the reason why hitting this has been so difficult, because a lot of times, I think the state's so rigid with, this is your number. And, if you're adding, subtracting, again, they don't care. You're always comparing back to that.
Melissa, very quickly, when is the deadline that these guys are required to enter their baseline energy usage into portfolio management?
June 1st this year.
So it is passed.
It is past anybody who enters our portfolio. We have hundreds. We have around 300 clients right now. So we've worked with them to kind of email, set up. We would be put into under IMPACTenergy, and we have a lot of clients who still not apply, but they know if you're under our grouping, we've been begging for forgiveness, saying, hey, we're taking care of them. They've signed our contract, and every week we're getting the next round of people that we're taking care of. So none of our clients have been hit with anything, but like I said, I obviously can never make promises with anything. So,
I have to run to a 10 o'clock meeting.
no
Thank you.
worries, see ya.
Thanks, Jared.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So again, so I'm gonna keep on going. I mean, this really only applies to a couple of you guys right now. So are you affected, again, 50,000 square feet or more? And we can, again, jump into your property, because it's not just, are you 50,000 square feet? I know with Select Service, it's actually, your property is quite easy to take care of.
Melissa, I have a question about the square footage requirement. Imagine that one of these hotels was 2 buildings of 25,000 square feet,
Yeah,
but the business is 50. Are they required to put?
depends how their heating equipment and meters are set up.
Ah,
That's why I was saying we need to sit down and I would need to understand their building.
Great, so if those 2 buildings were individually metered,
Then we don't have to worry
those 2
about that.
buildings stand individually?
Yeah. If they stand individually, they're not metered together, they have no connection, again, it's 25,000 square feet. That's why I don't think your property is, that's what, like I said, your property is probably, from everything you're telling me, you're not required.
Sure.
Unless you got some pipe connecting the two, it doesn't sound like it.
Alright.
So I'm gonna keep on going. As you see, there's a lot of detail, so if you actually have a property that's required, let's sit down and chat, because there's a lot of information that we need to dive into. So again, hotels it's not hotels, all buildings, but we work specifically with hotels. There needs to be an aggressive deadline of 2026 target or 2030. So I'm gonna go into that a little bit more. There are different pathways. Please don't select a generic pathway. It takes us 6.5 to 9 months to get you a different pathway. Let's make sure for the next 25 years we select the correct pathway. So, please don't, I don't want to share, this is the other thing with our slides.
Okay.
A lot of people take our slides, and I've been in too many presentations where I'm watching and I go, I think that's our work, and it is. So just, if you don't mind being cognizant of that. So plan and start now, compliance pathways. So you have your energy efficiency pathway, greenhouse gas pathway, and standard production pathway. If you're like, I'm not sure what all these mean, that's okay. We'll support you inside of what pathway makes most sense. Just don't select the default pathway. Really, if you're gonna do this on your own, please do a little bit of research. because this is gonna be your pathway for the next 25 years.
This is the compliance pathway that you are choosing to show how you're going to meet the requirements. What efforts are you gonna take to meet those standard requirements?
So here's the energy efficient, I'm gonna give 2 examples, just so you can understand a little bit more. Because it's, like I said, this is technical, it's a lot of information, I'm doing the best to present it, but if there is an interest, we could sit down and have a better conversation. So this is the energy efficiency pathway, this is one of the pathways you could select. Now, I say for hotels with a 2021 baseline of an EUI below 73 should consider this pathway. So the reason why, and we gave different examples, if you see the 73 up top, that is 13% or less to hit the 64.3. So in the state, you will never have to reduce to, so let me kind of step back. Your 2021 is your baseline, where are you today? And by 2026, you have to hit 13% savings. The reason this pathway is great for any buildings that are 73 or lower, then it's great to hit that, EUI of 64.3 because I think it's like 12.8%. So again, this is a great pathway if you have an efficient building. We have about a dozen of those down in Denver that are quite efficient. They're not there yet. We have a couple of them, even these, the new electric ones, even though everyone thinks they're efficient, again, their baseline still doesn't even hit the efficiency. And we're taking them on, they're more like 73 to 78. And again, our pathway is by 2026, how do we hit the 64.3? And then, by 2026 to 2030, we have to go from 13% energy savings to a total of 29% energy savings, and then you have to maintain it through 2050. That's why I said whoever's selecting your baseline or your pathway, if you end up doing this yourself, just make sure you're selecting the correct pathway because, that's the journey you're on for the next 25 years. This is another example if you select the standard percentage reduction, like I said. This kind of shows it to you. This is that 13% that we were trying to hit, 29%. So the state came out with this in April. Very, very fortunate. Hopefully Denver will do something similar. They realize, hey, we can't have everyone with this last slide hit that 64.3. What happens if my building's at 150? That's unreasonable. I agree. So they came out in April of this year with this standard percent reduction pathway to say, okay, we get it. It's hard to hit that. Instead of hitting this huge goal, let's just hit, by 2026 at 13% reduction. Which, to be honest, we're working a lot of buildings with our active management program. Usually within 3 years, we've been, I'd say, about 90% of the buildings hitting it. So again, I don't know what buildings you guys have, but a lot of the properties we work with have building automation systems, and usually with BAS, you can usually hit at least 15% reduction within 2 to 3 years. So that was pretty much a lot of no cost, low cost for most people. And then again, your target of 2030, and then you have to maintain it. Any questions? This is getting technical for anyone who actually has, the benchmarking. Do you have any questions? Is this helpful to kind of see a visual of it? Okay. And then I think you also had is this helpful?
Oh yeah.
Anybody else, ladies? Okay. Anybody, before I go on, I know I'm keeping it at a very high level right now. There's a lot of strategies to do with this. This is why making sure your building's benchmarked correctly is huge. We call it the wiggle room. Because we could probably, if we set them up correctly, say you're 120, we could probably drop it 3 or 4 points. That's like 30 to 50,000 we just saved you.
So I'm a little bit outside of the lines
Yes.
because I'm a little bit
Yes.
smaller than
Yes.
the requirements. But let's say that I fell within the requirements and I had to meet these targets.
Sure.
And it being a condominium that's also vacation rentals, right? The condos are individually owned and not individually metered for energy usage. So in an environment, let's say I was 50,001 square feet and we have 50 condos or what have you, but each one is unmetered, how do you meet targets when you don't know where the energy is even necessarily being used because people have their own properties? It's a little bit outside the hotel, but
No, it's not. It's very easy.
Figure out
Do
where
that,
the energy's
yeah. I do it for a lot. I do it for the Solaris, I do it for the Lion, and name a big property. Yeah, this is super easy. Yeah. Timeline and deadlines, the first one passed, it's June 1st, 2024. Don't worry, like I said, I guess if you're doing it on your own, just get in the queue for Tuesdays, that's their call time. Usually it takes 2 to 3 hours until they call on you. Or if you want to join us, we put you in our package and kind of take care of you guys. So again, you need a report, and then really by the end of next year, we need to hit that 13% energy savings. So that's kind of that first target date.
That is the reason we invited you guys all here in the room.
Well, it's for anyone who's 50,000 square feet, because it sounds like we're maybe here, we'll have to have a larger conversation, and then you two ladies. It doesn't sound like you're in it. So sorry for anyone who's not, I apologize for giving you too much information. But really, if you're not, please, I would really make sure you sort it out, because all our properties down in Denver, if they're not in compliance, they will, the Attorney State General is actually fining them pretty heavily. So again, after that, the next target date is going to be that, really that the June 28th is your next target cycle for your first reporting date, and then June 1st, 2023. So you need to meet that specified 2030 compliance pathway. So there'll be 2, and then you have to make sure you maintain it. Any questions? Like I said, this is a lot of information. I'm going pretty quickly. Any questions here for you guys?
Melissa, am I correct that the fines could be for not meeting the
Yeah, I'm going
performance
into it in a
standards?
second. So fees and penalties and benchmarking. So invest in projects rather than paying penalties. So penalties per year, failure to meet submit benchmarking, $2,000 per year. And then after that, failure to meet building performance, up to $57,000 per year. I do have quite a few clients who asked, great question, I thought that was very smart actually. Hey, I'll just pay the $57,000 per year fines. I don't think it's a lot. Down in Denver, a lot of my clients are being fined between 17 and 31 million. So to me, this is very inexpensive. But there's an injunction suit from the Attorney General, and I was just on a panel last Tuesday, and they're starting to collect that information. So I would make sure that, if your way that you were going to do it was just, hey, I'll just pay the fines, because I have some clients who are okay with that, just know that they'll put you on the list, and that isn't an option. Next is, any questions before I kind of jump into a little bit more, just on benchmarking for people? Yeah, go for it.
For the difference in fines, you said some places in Denver have fines in the millions.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
because of Denver's program, right?
Yes.
Not the
No.
state program. Okay.
Yeah, and I had, which you were on that presentation, that's like, this is, like I said, I think the state is way easier, you guys got lucky. My property's in Denver, that was like a 45-minute hour presentation, that's like very complex.
Yeah.
Because that deals with electrification. Just so you guys know, I get this question all the time. We are not required as a state for electrification. I'm not sure where everyone heard that. I think that came from Denver. I get asked that question all the time from people. That has nothing to do with the state program. I'm not sure. I think there's just a lot of information out there, and a lot of times, the information gets crossed. The state has nothing to do with a requirement for electrification. Also, the state does not require an ASHRAE level 2. Denver does. Does that make sense? So I get none of us are down in
That's an
Denver.
energy assessment.
What?
That's an energy assessment.
Yeah. Level 2 energy audit. So we do all of that, but again, don't worry about any of this. That's just Denver. So awesome. So how we can help? We're doing a lot of projects. I get it. It is very complex. Again, we can help. We have a benchmark service. So if you guys are interested in our team supporting you, just come up to us. We'll set up a separate meeting so we understand what your property is all about. We do have an initial startup because the first year is more complex because we have to go from 21 to present date, which is 24. That takes us a while to set that whole thing up, and then it's just a monthly fee. I don't think you guys are supporting over here, right, Walking Mountain?
No, we're not.
Okay. Well, if you were in Vail Valley, Diego has been amazing in supporting us. Maybe there would be support over here,
We
maybe.
can talk about what you guys are doing and see if we can offer the same services.
Yeah. Because I think it's really helpful, especially the initial fee, because it's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
It's like 15 to 20 hours, just
Yeah.
to, an easy building.
What we're doing is we're offering a rebate for the initial startup cost for
Yeah.
benchmarking or an energy management service.
Yeah. Which is super helpful, because that initial setup is like, it's
Yeah.
it's
Or
something.
even just like a ASHRAE level 2 or 3 energy
Yeah.
audit as well.
Yeah.
We benchmark some of, rebate some of that cost.
Yeah.
And there are rebates for retro commissioning as well, so once you get into this and you start looking at what you have to do to get your building compliant, I think most of our utilities in our area offer about 25% of your costs back for your retro commissioning work.
So, again, high level, we'll do the initial startup, we'll provide compliancy with benchmarking, we'll help you generate your EUI, but the thing that we do different, and I know that's not out there, support with your performance goals. If you are a less complex property, and you don't wanna go into our active management program, what we do part of this is we provide high level engineering support. So we'll give you, after 6 months of sign up, we'll give you a report and we'll just say, hey, this is your EUI, here's a gap analysis of where you are, where we need to go, and just top recommendations of like, this is what your property should do. Again, this is not where we help you, but it's just very high level one pager of like, you know, this is something you should consider to hit your performance goals. Any questions on this? No. Okay. So, and I gave, I think, everyone the card. I'm not sure if I gave you guys cards, but I can give it afterwards. Okay, so now, this is different solutions. This is for any properties. This is solutions to comply with new efficiency regulations, but even if you don't fit in that bucket, we can still support you in that. Integration into your system, that's probably what you were speaking to. This is called the virtual engineer. I love it. We have a lot of properties inside of this. Again, it's our cloud-based network. You could just have the standalone controls. Hey, I have a PTAC, I don't need all this stuff. Great, we don't create it that way. Hey, I have your property, for sure you would want this. Hey, I want a virtual engineer. Perfect, it tracks all the savings. We would walk you through the platform, but as you can see, it has interval data every 15 minutes. The other thing that's great for an engineer, which I love, is you get to see all the equipment that's running in your system. So if you have a fan coil unit and something's down, it pulls it up and gives you an alert to tell you it's down. So it's great, especially for some of our, larger one property that has like 28 buildings, and she's like, I don't have to sit in the golf cart anymore every time something goes down. So she loves it, but that kind of gives you an idea. You don't want to, if you're doing 1 or 2 buildings, like you don't want to chase after this stuff, or you have somebody who complains, well great, I need them to, you put them in VIP mode, and you don't have to go, you always have that one guest who likes to complain. So this is great to take care of that. We can connect it to your property management system like you shared before they come in, get it completely ready for them. And again, there's different set points on that. And then again, it's great for maintenance and it allows you to troubleshoot remotely. Because sometimes when somebody's complaining at 1 in the morning, you don't want to get out of bed and have to deal with it. Any questions here? And I'm not jumping into this is a whole presentation in itself, the virtual assistant. I know most engineers say they love saving money, but this is the thing that they really like. It allows you to, it just allows you to run the building easier. Case studies, I just try to pick some of my case studies specifically in the Valley. This is Wyndham we're working on Viceroy too, but this is a Wyndham at Avon. We did this a while ago. Their investment was around $78,000. I think they had 109 rooms. They got back 50% of the project cost, so there are rebates for this. So I don't think that $78,000 even talks about the rebates. Annual cost savings was around $46,000. Their 5-year cost savings was around $230,000. Simple payback 1.3 years. He actually just texted me last night, late, and he was working with the virtual assistant, and we were just chatting back and forth how much he likes it, and they've had it for a while. So they're just renewing their 5-year agreement for their virtual assistant. So the savings is there. I've seen between 25 and 40%. Usually the mountains save more than our city properties. Because they're on a ski hill for 8 to 9 hours and they love to, you know, put the heat up to 80 to 90 degrees. Sebastian Vale, this one, they did a great job. Again, annual cost savings was $54,000. 5-year cost savings was $270,000. Simple payback was 2.6 years, and they got about $30,000 back in rebates. And that was done a while ago too. So it just shows you the money is there. I have quite a few properties this year looking to move forward, and they're going all out. They're like, I want the balcony and the windows and they're doing the whole thing. This was actually just standalone controls. They didn't do the balconies and all that stuff. Any questions? I just wanted to answer the guest room controls. Any questions on any of this stuff? Okay. Awesome. Well, I just want to, you know, how you get started for you guys. It sounds like if you haven't done benchmarking and your building's required, I'll get on top of it. We could be a support, or you could obviously, you know, try to figure it out, you know, in-house. And then the guest room controls, if you haven't done it and there is an interest, I would love to take your card, set up a meeting after this, and kind of connect with you on that. Awesome. Any additional questions I can answer? I know we're up on time. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much this morning. Thank you for coming. I appreciate the invite, and thank you guys again.
Thank
And
you
I'll make
so
sure-
much, Melissa.